Nobody wants to think about death. But avoiding this conversation could be the biggest mistake you ever make. I'm about to show you why having this talk now, today, could save your family from years of pain, confusion, and devastating regret. Here's what most people don't realize. When someone dies without having these conversations, families fall apart. Siblings stop speaking. Life savings disappear into legal fees. And the person who passed away never gets the final wishes they deserved. This isn't just about wills and paperwork. This is about protecting the people you love most from making impossible decisions during the worst moment of their lives. So let's talk about how to have this conversation the right way. First, understand why this conversation feels so impossible. We're programmed from childhood to avoid talking about death. It feels morbid. It feels like we're giving up. It feels like we're inviting bad luck into our lives. But here's the truth. Death isn't something we can avoid by not talking about it. It's coming for all of us eventually. The only question is whether we'll be prepared or whether we'll leave chaos behind. Think about it this way. You wouldn't go on a long trip without telling anyone where you're going. You wouldn't leave your house for months without making arrangements. Yet most people approach the final journey of life with zero preparation. So how do you start this conversation? The biggest mistake people make is waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Your parents will never wake up one day and say they're ready to talk about their death. You have to create the opening yourself. And the best way to do that is to make it about you first. Don't start by asking about their wishes. Start by sharing yours. Try something like this. Mom, Dad, I've been thinking about my own future and I wanted to get your advice on some decisions I'm making. This approach removes the pressure. It makes them the expert instead of putting them on the spot. Then you can naturally transition into asking about their thoughts. You might say something like, while we're talking about this, have you two thought about what you'd want if something happened? This feels collaborative instead of confrontational. Now let's talk about timing. Many people think you need to have one big conversation that covers everything. That's overwhelming and it rarely works. Instead, think of this as a series of smaller conversations over time. Start with the easiest topics first. Maybe that's just talking about whether they have a will. Or asking if they've thought about who should make medical decisions if they can't. These are practical questions that don't feel as emotionally heavy. As you build comfort with these lighter topics, you can gradually move into deeper territory. What kind of medical interventions do they want? How do they want to spend their final days? What matters most to them about how they're remembered? Here's something crucial that most people miss. This conversation isn't just about collecting information. It's about understanding values and priorities. Two people might both say they don't want to be kept alive by machines, but they might mean very different things. One person might be okay with a feeding tube but not a ventilator. Another might want every possible intervention for 6 months but then want to stop. These nuances matter enormously when the time comes to make decisions. So ask follow-up questions. Ask for examples. Ask them to imagine specific scenarios and tell you what they'd want. The more detailed these conversations are, the better prepared you'll be. Let's talk about the emotional side of this. These conversations will be uncomfortable. Your parents might get defensive. They might change the subject. They might even get angry. That's normal and it's okay. Don't push too hard in one sitting. If you sense resistance, back off and try again another time. Remember, you're planting seeds. Some of those seeds will take time to grow. Here's a powerful technique that can help. Share stories about other families you know who struggled because they didn't have these conversations. Not in a fear-mongering way, but in a compassionate way that shows you care. You might say something like, I saw how hard it was for the Johnson family when they had to guess what their dad would have wanted. I don't want us to go through that. I want to honor your wishes, but I need to know what they are. Now let's get practical about what you actually need to cover. There are several key areas that every family should discuss. Let's go through them one by one so you know exactly what to ask about. First, medical decisions. This includes things like resuscitation preferences, life support wishes, organ donation, and pain management priorities. You need to know not just what they want, but why they want it. Second, financial matters. Where are the important documents? Who should handle finances if they can't? What accounts exist and how can they be accessed? What debts or obligations need to be managed? Third, legal preparations. Do they have a will? Is it up to date? Who has power of attorney? Who's the healthcare proxy? Where are these documents kept and who else knows about them? Fourth, personal wishes. How do they want to be remembered? What kind of funeral or memorial service do they want? Are there specific people they want contacted? Are there personal items they want to go to specific people? Fifth, practical details. What are their online account passwords? Who should be notified if something happens? What bills are on autopay? Who are their doctors and what medications are they taking? Here's something many people forget. These conversations need to happen with all relevant family members present, or at least informed. Nothing causes more family conflict than siblings finding out about important decisions secondhand. If possible, have these discussions with everyone together. If that's not practical, make sure everyone gets the same information. Document what was discussed and share those notes with the whole family. Let's address a common fear. What if these conversations upset your parents so much that it damages your relationship? This is a valid concern, but here's what research shows. Families who have these conversations actually report feeling closer afterward. Why? Because these discussions show that you care enough to have hard conversations. They demonstrate respect for your parents' autonomy and wishes. And they provide reassurance that when the time comes, things will be handled according to their values. Now here's a critical point about documentation. Talking about these things isn't enough. You need to write things down. Memories fade. Details get confused. What you think you remember might not match what your siblings remember. After each conversation, send a summary email to everyone involved. Something like, "Just wanted to confirm what we discussed today about mom's wishes for medical care." This gives people a chance to clarify or correct anything that was misunderstood. And of course, make sure the legal documents actually exist. A conversation about wanting a living will doesn't help if Therese no actual living will on file. Offer to help your parents meet with an estate attorney if they haven't already. Let's talk about what to do if your parents absolutely refuse to engage. Some people are so resistant to these conversations that no approach seems to work. If that's your situation, you still have options. You can start by taking care of your own end-of-life planning and sharing it with them. Sometimes seeing you handle it maturely makes it feel less scary. You can also try involving a third party like a family friend, religious leader, or even their doctor. Many doctors are trained to initiate these conversations and your parents might be more receptive to talking about it in a medical context. You could ask their doctor to bring it up at their next appointment. Here's something else to consider. Sometimes resistance isn't about fear of death. It's about fear of losing control or becoming a burden. If you can address those underlying fears, the conversation becomes easier. You might need to explicitly say things like, "This isn't about taking control away from you, it's about making sure we honor your control even when you can't speak for yourself." Or, "We want to help you avoid being a burden by knowing exactly how to help." Now let's talk about updating these conversations. This isn't a one and done thing. People's wishes change as they age and as their health changes. What someone wants at 65 might be very different from what they want at 85. Make it a practice to revisit these conversations periodically. Maybe once a year, or after any major health event, you check in and ask if anything has changed. This keeps the information current and keeps the communication channels open. Here's a final thought about cultural and religious considerations. Different cultures and religions have very different approaches to death and dying. Make sure you understand and respect your family's cultural and spiritual beliefs. Some traditions have specific rituals that need to be followed. Some have strong feelings about certain medical interventions. Some have particular views on what happens after death. These beliefs should inform and guide your conversations. Remember, the goal isn't to convince your parents to see death your way. The goal is to understand how they see it and what they want. Your job is to listen, document, and ultimately honor their wishes. So here's what I want you to do today. Don't wait another day to start this conversation. Pick up the phone or schedule a visit. Start small with just one question. Plant that first seed. Your future self will thank you. Your family will thank you. And most importantly, your loved ones will have the peace of mind that comes from knowing their wishes will be honored. This conversation is a gift. It's time to give it.